before the show. He said, feeling a little bit better. He had a doctor's appointment today. Hopefully we get him back tomorrow. And then Jeff Russ called me this morning. He's got sick kids at home. He's fine. He's got sick kids at home. I said, I get it, dude. I get it. You know, sometimes you got to take turns with the wife there. Back and forth. So Will Ortner back in the saddle again. How are you, sir?
Doing all right. I like being here. It's fun.
We have not discussed your journey that you are going through. And I give you a lot of credit for this because...
What journey am I going through?
Well, you are going through a journey of...
Enlightenment? Am I Buddha?
A little bit of classic cinema.
Oh, I'm not New Age Buddha. I'm not going to find Nirvana.
No. You have been mocked mercilessly because you have not seen anything really since like the year 2000.
See, but here's the thing.
No movies.
You guys,
yeah,
you people, you millennials / whatever Isaac and Suk are, that generation, you two generations have been teaming up against me. Yeah. My generation, Gen Zers, they've had my back. They, in fact, think you guys are idiots.
No, we're not.
I am the bridge.
No, you got to respect
3 generations.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem with you.
With me?
With you.
Me specifically?
And you and your people, you Gen Zers, you little Zoomers out there that are running around, is that unlike us, you have this resistance to embrace classic cinema. Like I was not around when Animal House or Blazing Saddles were made. No, I wasn't. I wasn't alive when Monty Python was made. But you know what? I saw them. Because it is worthwhile to see classic and good cinema. You're like, I don't think I'll get the jokes. Yeah, watch the movies. You'll get the damn jokes.
I got him in there, something about Mary.
Now what you're doing is you're starting to see that a lot of the stuff that you thought was original has just been ripped off from the classics.
Well, it's all fake. But to be fair and to defend myself one more time, because I am enjoying this trip.
I told you.
I do like it. It is fun for me.
I give you credit.
However, the movies that you quoted are movies that were made right before you were born, right? The difference is these movies that you're having me watch from the 80s.
How old do you think I am?
Well, you're mid-30s, right?
I'm late 30s.
Late 30s? Okay. Yeah. So Blazing Saddles, Monty Python, those are made in the 70s, correct?
Yeah, it was a decade before I was born.
Right. A decade before
Blazing Saddles was a decade before I was born.
It's 87.
And you watched RoboCop.
I did.
And you criticized RoboCop. But you know what?
The graphics are horrible. They took me out. I mean, Star Wars had better graphics.
You have to go back, though. And here's the thing. The boom of comedy, it was in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And then it kind of, the comedic movies, like before that, you want me to go back and watch Charlie Chaplin?
Well, a little bit, because that's kind of what you're having me do.
No.
Yes.
Not even the same
If I watch Blazing Saddles...
I am not going to watch silent films. It is not... No.
But
Blazing
that's kind
Saddles,
of what you're making me do.
You would be like, how is not every single person that is in this movie canceled? Well, spoiler alert, most of them are dead. But it was a different time.
Canceled them?
God did cancel them.
God canceled them.
Except, yes, he absolutely did. Including... Mel Brooks still kicking. The creator of it, still alive and kicking. Doing great stuff.
What's he doing? Is he making anything recently?
I think he's almost...
Is he big on those Seth Rogen movies?
Nah, he's 97 years old.
Hey, you don't know what he likes.
Comedic genius, Mel Brooks.
And I'm not taking that away from him. And I have been going on this journey, and I've done it with an open mind. I want that very clear. I've done it with an open mind, and I am having fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do want to defend myself in the fact of you're saying like, well, I went back and watched Animal House. Well, that's a 10-year difference. I go back and watch movies that are 10 years from my generation.
Well, you did. Because we forced you to.
No, before that, I watched 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I watched those movies.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Star Wars.
Still haven't seen that one. Getting around to it. Dude,
you can't attack my movie watching abilities if you have failed to see Star Wars. No, probably the greatest star fantasy type.
Yep, there's where you lose me. But you're new to this, but I have attempted to watch it several times. I've attempted to watch it.
I finished it.
Yeah.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Oh, no, there is a try. And I used to try to put myself to sleep in high school by popping in the VCR Star Wars. And that is not a lie.
That's brutal.
It would put me to sleep
This
when I
isn't
couldn't sleep at
rugby.
night.
There's no tries in here.
No, like it, absolutely. There are tries. There are tries.
It's not
I've seen, I went back and I'm only one movie in. At this rate, I feel like I'll be Mel Brooks' age and I'll finally get through Star Wars. But I watched, what's the very first one? Not
A New Hope?
I don't, is that what it is? With Jar Jar Binks?
Oh, no, that's the Phantom Menace. That's
that one.
I mean, it's the first one, but it's the fourth one made.
Yeah, I've seen it. Saw it. Yep.
Good.
Yeah, it was okay.
Incorrect. That's the incorrect take. Darth Maul is awesome. They killed him too soon.
Yeah, sure. It was an okay movie. It was good. Yeah,
it's good.
Good. But I'll get through it. I'll get through it all.
What are your take on the graphics?
Don't really have a take on the graphics because I'm watching for
the plot,
the experience. Yeah, the experience.
You're not watching for Natalie Portman.
That Natalie Portman is hot. Natalie
Portman's great.
What is she up to lately?
I think she just had like a photo thing taken. I don't know. She took a picture with
a photo thing taken.
Like a photo shoot. I think she was like in a magazine or something. She just had a tweet where she was with the guy who played Luke, and I can't think of his name right now. I'm blanking on it. That's a miss by me.
I've just seen her in Luke Skywalker.
Yeah,
Mark
but thank you, Mark Hamill.
Yeah. I've seen her like in the Thor movies, and that's about it. And you know what? If I'm Natalie Portman, I'm probably doing that too, right?
Well, she was in Black Swan. She won an Oscar, I think, for that, right? Everyone says that was good.
Yeah.
I've only seen the one scene.
What movie? That Black Swan came out like in 2010, and that's the point. Is that like...
Well, she's rich. She's had kids.
Yeah, go into you do your damn thing.
SNL like 5 years ago.
Just disappear. That Jim Carrey quote. I think everybody in the world should become rich and famous because then they could see it's not all it's cracked up to be. You know,
easy. That's an easy take there from Jim Carrey.
That is a very easy take from Jim Carrey.
Not everyone who's rich is as rich as Jim Carrey is.
Yeah. You know, did you see that the Laugh Supper? He celebrated his 62nd birthday last week.
62.
Yeah.
Wow, he actually looks really good for
And have you seen Ace Ventura, Pet Detective?
No.
Jesus.
No, dude, remember, I've seen Dumb and Dumber for Jim Carrey, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, he did the Laugh Supper where it was basically the who's who in the comedy world came and they had dinner with Jim Carrey.
They hung out. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But one thing that I noticed is, boy, a lot of comedians are just white bald guys in this photo.
Well, it's like when Chris Rock has all the comedians get together. Guess what? There's not a lot of white dudes in that one either.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying like you have... I think Howie Mandel's in it. Bill Burr's in the photo. There's a couple guys I can't really tell. Jeffrey Ross, the roast master, he's in it.
Jeff Ross is great.
All these guys are just bald white guys.
So you're saying I have a future in comedy?
I think you might. I think you might.
It's that or I'm going to try and take over for A.Q. Shipley.
Whom?
And the bald white dude who goes on McAfee.
Oh, okay. I was like, A.Q. Shipley.
The bald white O-lineman who goes on McAfee. He's just on my screen right now.
So you found a new one to poison and take out. You're done with Sukanik. You're on to A.Q. Shipley.
I had to put Sprague on there for claiming that I'm out here stealing beers, which I'm not.
Hold on. What happened here? What happened with that? You're stealing beers?
No, Sprague threw me. Sprague thinks that I'm stealing beers, and so I had to put him on the lawsuit. You are now firmly on the lawsuit, even though you are my radio mentor.
All I'm saying is allegedly. Allegedly, these things are happening.
Sue Canic's been on it for a multitude of violations. I might have a RICO case in lawsuits against Sue Canic for all the defamation and libel that he has spilled about me.
Well, you can just add it to his tab. Okay, because
it's a big tab. He owes me.
Well, he's got a lot out there. You're not the only one looking to collect on that.
Yes. Yeah, I think I'm at the back of the line.
There have been several people he has killed on the show who are very well alive.
Very well alive.
Very well alive.
Oh, I'm well aware of that. And stories that he has told that I'm sure the people that are involved in said stories did not want out.
I'll tell you what, one of my favorite stories is we were down in Arizona for the Oregon-Auburn National Championship game. And Suk was telling on the air this story of how he took out a Wyoming defensive lineman. And he admitted, he's like, it was a cheap shot. It was a cheap shot. I took him out. And so I started the probing questions of like, hey, when did this happen? Like, what year was this? And I went and I looked it up. It ended the dude's career.
It ended his career?
Yeah.
The dude was never the same
and
again.
Suk is like, yeah, that one I kind of felt bad about. Like, I kind of felt bad. I was like, you think? You dove at his knee because apparently the dude was like, he was dirty towards Sekanic because he had a bad ankle or something and kept stepping on the ankle. And Suk was like, you know what? Screw this guy. Done.
Was he dirty to Sekanic, or did he just accidentally keep stepping on him because it's the trenches and that happens all the time with O-linemen and D-linemen?
Don't put that on there. No, that's not it.
Clearly, he had to have been in the... Of all the stories that I have heard of the great Jason Sekanic, there are a lot of them that one guy took an inch and Suk took 4 miles.
Yeah, that's him. Man,
Yes.
That's why we love him. Is because of that reason,
Yes.
right there. You give him an inch, he'll take 4 miles.
Not 1 is not good enough. 2 is not good enough. Not 3, but 4.
God bless him. God bless him. All right. Well, I'm glad to have you here. Hopefully we'll be full strength and back at it tomorrow. Saying that.
I hope so too.
But alive, as the text line is saying, alive. Alive.
Look, man, there's no one who wants everyone to be back here more than me.
No, that's just not true.
That is true.
No.
That is.
No. We're streaming on the YouTubes, youtube.com/1080 the fan, 1080 AM the fan, and Twitch. Twitch.com/1080 AM the fan. We're also on the Odyssey app and on 1080 the fan and 99.5 HD too. We're all over the place, man.
We're everywhere. Remember that day where we were most, but not everywhere?
Yeah. Like, you mean actually 1080? That would be Friday.
Yeah.
That would have been Friday. That was it right there.
Had a lot of questions about how did you work that day if the radio didn't work?
Don't worry about it. We found a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. All right, let's get to this sports program today. We're going to dive into conference championship weekend. Does offense win championships or is it really defense? Huh? The age-old question. Defense wins championships or, what do the trends say? And how does that pertain to this weekend's NFC and AFC championship games? We have a lot of basketball that we need to discuss. Doc Rivers, I don't want you to take Doc Rivers' mentorship,
as heard here first,
too seriously, okay? Because Doc Rivers was mentoring Adrian Griffin and then just took his job. We'll get to that today, but where we got to start, Blazers got hosed on a botched call, and now they're going to put their money where their mouth is. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Oklahoma City to the Thunder in a game that, look, we can call it what it was. The Blazers got screwed in a 111-109 loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder when Jalen Williams said, game.
Jalen Williams veers left, pulls up, looking for the lead, and got it. Jalen Williams, 2 seconds, 111-109.
And you know the Thunder were trying to get the ball with SGA. Look at the double team. Look at the switches. He says, look, I'm just going to call my own number.
And Michael, he's missed that shot a ton tonight. That's his favorite spot on the floor. We know how much he loves going left.
And you know the Thunder were trying to get the ball with SGA. Look at the double team. Look at the switches. He says, look, I'm just going to call my own number.
And Michael, he's missed that shot.
Oh, my goodness. I have no idea what went not happen there at the end of that clip. But
had to get the full breakdown, apparently.
Went a little squirrely. But Jalen Williams, the 111-109 shot to seal the victory, it's how they got there to that point. That is the story coming out of the Blazers, 31st loss of the season. The Blazers are going to be filing a protest with the NBA, and rightfully so, because of the fact that what led up to, one, the game being tied to where Jalen Williams hits the game-winning shot, is in what took the lead for the Oklahoma City Thunder is that Chauncey Billups and Malcolm Brogdon both, with 20 seconds to go, the Blazers brought the ball across the half-court line, and Malcolm Brogdon got jumped by a trap right in the corner there as the Blazers led 109-108. At that point, Chauncey Billups comes to half court and he tries to call a timeout. Now, he's behind the action on the other side of the half court stripe, but he's trying to call the timeout. And then at one point, Brogdon tries to call a timeout too, and then ends up getting called for a double dribble. Now, when you are in a situation like that, at any point, one thing that all referees know is that if they do have timeouts in that situation, you got to be listening for a timeout to be called. And the Blazers did have a timeout to burn. And the referees said, Bill Kennedy, the leader of the chief of that crew, said in that moment, the referee was so focused on the game action that he couldn't hear Chauncey Billups or apparently hear Malcolm Brogdon either, who was attempting to call the timeout. It was clear as day. We've all seen the replays. The replays are out there. But this is something that is truly inexcusable in the NBA. Could Chauncey Billups be louder? Yes. Could Chauncey Billups have notified the officials, as they're going out of the huddle? Hey, something happens. We're going to burn that timeout. Sure. But over the course of 82 games, it is established that, hey, you're in this situation. You better be hearing for the timeout, right? Blazers got hosed because immediately when the double dribble was called, as the Blazers had a 109-108 lead, Chauncey Billups rightfully lost his S. And he touched the official, which is...
That's a no-no. You can't do that.
Automatic T. We all know it. That happens. But then, after that, Chauncey loses his marbles because not only does Oklahoma City have the ball, but now you give him a free throw in a 1-point game because he touched the official. Double tech, he gets run. Apparently, that is the 15 seconds left in the game, or I think it was officially 12 something. Latest a coach has been ejected in a game in the last 25 years in the NBA.
Well, it also looked at least a little bit like the other, because it's not the first ref. The first ref, he calls the T because he gets touched, but it's the second ref that runs Chauncey, and that felt to me more like I'm trying to defend my guy because Chauncey kind of chased after.
You're being a sensitive bee on that officiating crew, and Bill Kennedy, who's
a sensitive bee.
No. The official that called that second technical.
Yes.
You're being super sensitive there because look, at that point, the crew chief is the guy who's going to run him, right? The guy who is sitting there in Bill Kennedy, who has experience in the NBA and is an established guy. By the way, the other two officials on that crew have 8 combined years of refereeing experience. The average in the NBA, according to Tom Haberstroh, is 24. 8. So, what you're looking at is Oklahoma City then gets 2 free throws and the ball. SGA makes 1 of 2 free throws. We're tied at 109, and then Jalen Williams, as we just heard, seals the game. There's a lot that kind of stick out to me in this that you go, inexcusable for the NBA to have this happen, right? Clear as day, guys are trying to call a timeout, and you should be hearing from him. He is at half court yelling, and you don't get that timeout. In that situation, when a guy gets trapped, I don't know, maybe the guy who's getting trapped is going to try to call a timeout. We've only seen it in NBA every single night. If you watch an NBA game and it's a tight game and that happens.
College basketball,
timeout.
High school basketball, middle school basketball, Oregon prep basketball.
Hell,
it's all the same.
Chris Webber did it without a timeout.
It's one of the more impressive timeouts I've ever seen.
It really is. But then it decides a game. And the thing that is crushing for the Blazers is that these instances, especially after they got beat by 62 by this team earlier, like a week and a half ago, you cannot, like, when you have a team that they're 12-31 now, they're 12-30 heading into this game. They played about as good of a team basketball game as the Blazers are going to get this season, right? The Oklahoma City Thunder are a better roster. They're a far better team this year. And
shoot, they beat them by 40 the other 2 times you played them. Minimum.
Average of 40.
Minimum.
That's not good. But costing a team that is the inexcusable part. What I actually appreciated is hearing Chauncey Billups after the game.
This was a tough situation. We got timeouts. Referees usually are prepared for that, that instance, that situation. I'm at half court trying to call a timeout. It's just frustrating play. Malcolm should feel it just as frustrated. He was trying to call a timeout as well. What else would you be trying to do in that situation? It's a bang, bang, easy, simple play.
He's going to get hit in the wallet. Malcolm Brogdon, in his post-game comments, he's probably going to get hit in the wallet too, because they were critical of the officiating, and rightfully so.
The NBA has to do it, though.
They have to do it.
They have to protect their guys. The NBA has to protect their referees.
But where we go now is the Blazers are filing a protest, an official protest reportedly with the NBA. By the way, if you're wondering how often these things work out, 6 times in NBA history.
You know when the last one was?
Was that the Shaq one?
The Shaq one, 2007.
Yeah, where that was the Heat, where the Heat, I think he had
a 6th
foul when he only had 5.
When he had 5.
The Heat ended up trading him in between, because in a protest, official protest, what they'll do is they would put 15.8 seconds back on the clock. They would give the Blazers the ball, and they'd replay the final 15 seconds of the game.
But they wouldn't do it until they played each other the next time.
So when that happened back in 2007, the Miami Heat, in between when they played that game and when they made it up again, they traded Shaquille O'Neal, and nobody scored in the final minute of the game that they were playing.
Didn't even matter,
right? But the NBA, the bigger point here is the NBA is not going to overturn this in all likelihood because of Bill Kennedy's explanation when he said that the referee was in the slot position. His focus is on officiating the play at hand, and his concern is not whether the timeout is being called, but to correctly call a double dribble like he did. That, my friend, is not going to sit well with Chauncey Billups or anybody else. But it did tell me a little bit about Chauncey Billups. We'll get to that after Will with SportsCenter.
Now,
try and play the last 15 seconds of the game last night against the Oklahoma City Thunder, as they are filing an official protest with the NBA, according to reports, over the double technical fouls that Chauncey Billups received that ended up tying the game and then led to the eventual game winner after Oklahoma City got the ball, because the Blazers were not granted a timeout that they clearly tried to call. Now, there was a text on the Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. Come party with us on the Vancouver Ford text line. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them online at vancouverford.com. That says, I saw a replay on ESPN or it was on the YouTube chat as well, that the ESPN didn't look like the timeout was asked for in time. It looked simultaneous to the call of double dribble. Now, there is a baseline call because there's one view that's obstructed, and then there's another one where you can clearly see Chauncey Billups, because his back was to us. He's yelling timeout, and then he's like putting his hands together, because if the official's back's to you and you're yelling timeout, that's the, hey, we want a timeout, and then he starts doing the actual T with his hands, like, hey, give me the damn timeout.
I don't know about you, but I've never done the signal for timeout, then said timeout. It's always, I've said timeout, and then about halfway through, I realize I need to use my hands. So if you can see a simultaneous, that's when his hands are hitting, he called timeout long before that. That's just common sense.
But what I will go to here is, I think the greater play in all of this is, in a season where the Blazers we know they're not competing to win games, right? You're saying, I'm going to go to bat for my guys. Yeah. I'm going to ride for the roster. And I think
10 toes down.
Of the things that you can take out of this, they're going to lose this protest with the NBA, just based on the official Bill Kennedy gave, and how clear Chauncey Billups was in his post-game comments after the game, and how upset he got during the game. They're not going to overturn this. This is going to be $10,000 that the Blazers are just basically donating to the NBA to see if they're going to have this protest. But I think that goes a lot further with the guys in the locker room, and I think it goes a lot further with the fan base. I mean, I thought a lot of fans last night were like, finally, how many times you see this? Chauncey Billups is finally putting his nuts on the table and saying, I care about these guys, right? I care about these guys. These are my guys, and I'm going to go to bat for them despite the fact we're 12-31. And that does go a long way with this core and just kind of keep holding things together. Grand scheme doesn't mean all that much to this roster. No, but it's kind of the doldrums of the season. You're waiting for the All-Star break and getting to this back half. It is one of those like little sparks of, hey, we're not just folding our cards and pushing them in the middle of the table. And I like that. I appreciate that out of Chauncey Billups, because if wins are going to be few and far between for this team, you better cherish every damn opportunity you have to win a game.
Especially from a team that has been playing as well as OKC, and how well OKC is going to be playing for years and years to come. Like, if the Blazers hit on the players that they want to, right? Scoot, Shaden, everyone hits their true potential. This is going to be a team that you have to beat and surpass. This is a potential rivalry team that you could meet every year in the Western Conference playoffs at different points, right? Just the way they are built and where you want to be in 2 or 3 years, that could be something that happens a lot. So you have to show your guys and your young players that you're there to protect them, but it also shows, well, there are criticisms, and they are fair at times, that I believe of how Chauncey has coached this team this year.
100%.
It also shows that he understands how a locker room works, because he played in for so long, and so many good ones. I mean, shoot, he was on multiple championship teams, or at least one, right? In Detroit. So what he is doing is he's showing the guys that, yes, I can be big bad Coach Billups, but I'm going to defend you. And that goes a long way when later on in the year, if players, if questions keep coming out about Chauncey, more players are going to come to bat for him. It's a yin and yang type of thing. It's equal.
It's not going to go too far, but I think in a season like this, it sucks that it comes down to officiating like this. And here's the greater issue that the NBA has. I saw a lot of, and Danny had this tweet, and I wish that he was here just so we could talk about this. And he said, this is becoming the issue with young officials in the NBA. And I saw a lot of that, like gosh, these young guys are just botching calls all over the place. And just, the basic things that the understanding of, hey, we got a timeout. Our guy gets jumped in the corner and they trap him. Of course, we're going to call a timeout. Like you should perk up and say, oh, timeout's coming. And you get that. That's what Chauncey was saying.
10 missed calls in the Wolves Hornets game too.
And I always go back to, look, blown calls in the NBA, it does not discriminate age, because we used to have this conversation of, God, how many old, decrepit referees do we have running up and down the floor? How many times do we have to see Danny Crawford running up and down the floor and tripping over himself? Like it was time and time and time again. Well, you get the older guys out, you're going to have these blown calls with the younger guys now too. It's called officiating. It's a awful job to have because you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. The best ones are the ones that you just don't see and you don't hear about. But the fact of the matter is, the NBA has this more than any other sport, more than football, more than Pac-12 football, for God's sakes, is that because you have so many subjective calls. You have so many calls where you could just be like, judgment call there. Now you have the fact that it's new faces, new names. Like in the NBA's is so much worse because you have guys like Scott Foster who are old and bad.
Fixer.
There's no reason for him to be officiating in the NBA when you have controversy surrounding an official. You have out in the open grievances that he has with a player. And yet we still see him in the playoffs. We still see him on primetime games, in big moments, in big games. Scott Foster's on the floor. It doesn't matter if they're young or old. The NBA has an officiating problem, period. Mm-hmm. They really do. And it was highlighted again last night for a team like the Portland Trailblazers that game meant way more than just game, 43 of 82.
Right.
They got their ass embarrassed by them a week and a half ago.
Multiple times.
They lost by 62 points, though. You lost by 139 to 77. And they saw that as a redemption game. And what that would have meant to those guys in that locker room, it doesn't mean the same to you and me or anybody that's listening to this right now. That game meant a hell of a lot more. And for that to end the way that it did, because of officiating and not because something that the Portland Trailblazers did or did not do, that's what sucks. Right. And that's why Chauncey Billups is pissed. That's why Malcolm Brogdon was pissed, because they got just dragged up and down the floor and abused the last time they played this team. And this was their shot at revenge, and they played really damn well.
Right. And I know everyone's going to be upset about the call, because you should be, and Chauncey should be. But in that locker room, the drum that should be beaten is, look at the improvement that you've made and look at what this team can be when guys continue to play inside of the offense. Or Scoot had multiple 3-pointers in this game. He's not the best shooting guard out there, right? When he has to shoot, his shooting percentages are low, but he had a good scoring game. Those are things to highlight. Hey, look, you found your spot and you found open looks and you were able to hit them, right? Jeremy Grant the last couple of games has been playing extremely, extremely well, showing what kind of offensive prowess he has. And I know Ayton's stat line is not good, but he's also returning after missing multiple weeks from having knee tendonitis. And I can guarantee you right now, there's no way he's 100% healthy. Nope. Having had knee tendonitis myself, that thing just stays with you. It's how much pain can you tolerate when you're playing through it.
Yep.
So I do think that there are still things that once you get past the disappointment of losing a game in this way, especially a game that was stolen from you, you need to look at the positives and continue to build up the confidence and at times the ego of some of these younger players, because they did go out and they played extremely well and they showed that they have life. That's not going to be seen this year, and you're not going to see what they can truly be next year or the year after that, probably. But there are things to build on, and you got to highlight those things.
Take a long time to build.
Hey, you know what? Rome wasn't built in a day.
No, it wasn't. I think with this roster and the kind of as we approach the trade deadline too, it was like one of those, all right, we don't know how much longer this group is going to be together. Looking at Malcolm Brogdon,
right? Probably going to get traded,
and it's starting to kind of heat up. That maybe there's a lot of teams: the Lakers, Magic, Sixers, and now maybe the Knicks with Terry Rozier going down to Miami.
I wouldn't mind Grimes.
Are going to be interested in getting Malcolm Brogdon.
Wouldn't mind Grimes.
You don't know, and you just wanted to avenge what was 2 really embarrassing losses.
Right.
And it got ripped from you. That sucks. All right, 503-864-6326. That's the Vancouver Forward text line. Or you can get in the chat, youtube.com/1080am The Fan, and you can party with all the psychos that watch on there. It's our nice little psychotic community.
Maybe we'll crotch chap again.
You never know. You never know what's going to be gift-worthy on this program. What we have is a hero who knew the assignment. Next on The Fan. Over the weekend where he took his shirt off and party. Because, look, largely, a lot of us are that family member. And I know I am. I have a great awareness of this.
I am.
That I said it yesterday. My credo is, one of my credos in life is, hey, if the call log doesn't have 911 on it, good day. Good day, right? Set that bar low because every little time you cross over it, it's a little victory for you. We now know the thought process of Jason Kelce. And damn it, if I knew exactly what was going through his head, because I was that guy. I am that guy in my family. And Jason Kelce lived up to every expectation. On the New Heights podcast with his brother Travis, he laid out how and why he took his shirt off. And he's a real man of genius.
I'm not gonna lie, I gave Kylie a heads up. The moment we got into the suite, I said, I'm taking my shirt off and I'm jumping out of that suite. And she said, Jason, don't you dare. I was like, hey, I'm just letting you know what's happening. I'm not asking for permission. I'm doing this.
Once a Kelce man's determined, there's no stopping him.
And she was already telling me to be on my best behavior because we were meeting Taylor.
This is hilarious.
I was like, Kylie, when I met you, the first day I met you, I was blacked out drunk and fell asleep at the bar. This is part of the charm. This is part of the Jason Kelce charm. I want to make my best first impression. This is my best chance.
My best first impression is the worst impression ever, so I could just build
Set
from
that
that
bar
point
nice
on.
and
Yeah,
low.
exactly.
Bingo. He's
So true.
He's brilliant. You set that bar low, man. And guess what? Next time the Taylor Swift sees him, you should be like, at least he kept his shirt on. You know?
Maybe she wants him to take his shirt
Like,
off. That's a sexy man.
He was shirtless wearing gray sweatpants.
Gray Russell sweatpants. That man does not care.
It gets 0 Fs.
He is the ultimate O lineman, and it's so beautiful.
And I'm glad that he was like, he went in with a game plan that I don't care if you're Taylor Swift. You're going to get Jason Kelce because I'm Jason Kelce. And guess who was the real hero that game? It was Jason Kelce, not Taylor Swift.
Oh, he overshadowed her.
Yeah, because he was shirtless behind her, just pounding Bud Lights the entire time.
Then he jumps into the stands, and he did it multiple times. He was bringing young kids, young Swifties up to meet her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw a picture, and it was him and her, and it said, look, America's sweetheart is finally meeting Taylor Swift.
This was, I got a follow-up to that, too. The mom of the child.
Yeah, they were on like TV.
They were on the Today Show. Well, they're all over the place because if you come within like a fart smell distance of Taylor Swift, you're like, hey, that's it, man.
You're famous.
You're famous. Today Show wants to hear from you. Well, the mom was on the Today Show and was like, yeah, we had no idea we'd be sitting anywhere near their seats. So at halftime, we went up and we just started climbing so we could hold up the sign, you know, and hopefully she saw. Didn't expect drunk Jason Kelce to fall out of the luxury suite, start pounding beers, and be like, let me take your child. You know, she actually thought it was Ryan Fitzpatrick, which
She thought it was Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Take this though.
I'd be offended if I was Ryan.
Hold on. Bearded guy, dad bod, takes his shirt off in Buffalo. That fits the Ryan Fitzpatrick profile.
Yeah, but if I'm Jason Kelce or Ryan Fitzpatrick, I'm offended.
But do you know that Ryan Fitzpatrick, remember when he was all fat and he had that picture and he's like, dude, I got like 8 kids. We have a lot of birthdays. I ate a lot of cake.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that happened with Ryan Fitzpatrick. So the mom's like, I thought it was Ryan Fitzpatrick. No. It was Jason Kelce. Lifts her up. And apparently Taylor Swift gave her a smile and a wave.
Yeah, there's a video.
Give her a smile and a wave.
Smile and wave at each other.
That made that little girl's day.
Made her life.
And that little girl will forever be a Jason Kelce fan. Like that girl doesn't realize that the person who lifted her up and like showed her to Taylor Swift as if it was some kind of like dog or like like you go outside,
Look what I found.
A cat will leave like a dead bird on outside your door and be like, look what I brought home. Like that was Jason Kelce being like, first impression, drunk guy, got a small child, look, you know? But that little girl now has this story of famous person introduced you to the most famous person in the world. It's a badass story.
That's a great story, but it shows why O-linemen are the best.
They are.
Because this is what O-linemen do.
Yeah.
We get drunk, we take our shirts off, we're cool being fat, so then all the, skinny people or the dad bod people are like, well, I guess I can take my shirt off if the other guy's taking his shirt off. I'm not the biggest guy here. And then it's golden retriever energy. Show everybody, like, hey, you want to meet Taylor? Come here. I'll show you to Taylor. Hey, you want to yell at Travis Kelce's brother? I'll be right here, and I'll yell right back at you. Also, How athletic is he in the Tims?
Yeah, we talked about this on Monday. It's a big jump that he made.
On ice, jump down and jump up, and then do it multiple times throughout the game.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been better. He's my hero.
He's a nimble man.
There are a lot of college memories where I feel like I was, in my head, I remember it being Jason Kelce-esque. Unfortunately, I don't think it was Jason Kelce-esque.
Yeah, I doubt it was. But the hero had a game plan heading in. His wife is awesome too.
Ultimate O-line wife.
Yeah, I mean, when you meet your husband in the very first night you meet him, he gets blackout drunk and passes out at the bar.
And you met because of a Tinder DM?
Yeah. I mean, you should probably stick around.
No, because now people are going to start just hanging out with the dirtbag guy who can't handle his liquor.
Well, obviously he can handle it pretty well.
Jason made a mistake there. I'm saying now women will hear this story and be like, yes, my date has to be drunk and passed out when we first meet him, so then I can become the next Kylie Kelce. And then they'll find out like, oh, no, this guy just can't handle it.
Yeah.
Gotta be careful of that guy, too.
They're one and the same.
Don't fall asleep at Bert Kreischer's festival.
Hour number 2. We have our worst day on the web coming up. And boy, it's a doozy. The airline industry is really just full of stories, and not for the good reasons at all. We've got some NFL news and notes around the coaching carousel because Michigan has sweetened the pot for Jim Harbaugh. But where we got to start hour number 2 is conference championship weekend. Is it offense or defense that wins championships? 503-864-6326. That's a Vancouver Forward text line. This is Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Conference championship weekend. I'm pumped for the conference championship weekend. I think best weekend of football is divisional round. I like divisional round.
Seems like they're all good games too, or at least close.
And to think that divisional round weekend is going to get even better because I believe, isn't that when the college football playoff national championship is going to be played now? Aren't they bumping it back?
It's around that time. I can't remember if it's Super Wild Card week or if it's the divisional round. Can we have that game on a Saturday? Can we do the NFL like 2 Saturday games in the build up to the national championship so that way people can still tailgate? We can't do Mondays anymore.
Yeah, no, it's going to be January 20th. So it'll be coming out of Wild Card weekend and we're going to be going into divisional round weekend. I'm in. I'm so in.
It's just long.
Yeah, well, I think you should end the season at the Rose Bowl on January 1st.
I concur. I think, and if you really had to do it, you rotate Rose Bowl sugar.
Would it hurt?
That's it.
No. Screw everybody else. It's the Rose Bowl. It's the granddaddy.
But yes, it's the best bowl game. It's the only one that will still matter once the playoffs even start. But the people down south are going to complain.
No,
I would concede.
Screw them.
Sugar, Rose Bowl, rotate every year.
Nope. Screw them. No. Rose Bowl. Every year.
I think we got to be
January
careful.
1. One place, one building. Mm-hmm. You're trying to get the race to the roses. We have the race for the roses in the Kentucky Derby.
Ooh.
Now you have the race to the roses.
Ooh.
Huh?
That's actually a great pitch. All right, I'm sold. Yeah, the South sucks.
I mean, you don't want sugar. You don't want the race to the sugar.
Don't pour some sugar on me.
The game's in Miami, buddy.
There's no Def Leppard here.
That's in Bogota. That's the Bogota Bowl.
No Def Leppard here. No Sugar Bowl.
No. I think
roses only.
And what would it hurt college football if you bumped the season forward 2 weeks? Start the season.
Start in August?
Start in mid-August instead of the first weekend of September or the last weekend of August. Would that hurt college football?
No, in no way would it.
No. There's really hot games, but maybe that might get some of the teams getting out of the South and playing somewhere else in the country, for God's sakes.
Right. Or what you could do is
it's only 2 weeks.
Well, take away one game, so make 0 week a normal week that everyone plays on, and then take away the extra bye. Right? Because every team gets take the bye away.
You need the bye. You need the bye. Mm-hmm. And lower
levels, they don't have buys.
Here's my thought process on what college football should do. Every year, because we are now 4 conferences, right? You have our 4 power conferences.
For now, we might be tree here in a minute.
We're consolidating all of the power, right? And eventually we'll get to uniform league size, and we're going to go to even numbers to make it easier, make math easy.
Right. Or 45s.
What you do is you pair up at the beginning of the year 2 conferences, right? And so the teams that are non-CFP qualifiers, all of a sudden you then sort them out at the end of the year. And so like third place of the Big 10 plays third place from the Big 12, and that then becomes the final week of the season, which would also be first week of the playoff.
Ooh.
Right?
I like that. That is cool.
First week of the playoff, you have the playoff games in prime time.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody else has their final wrap-up games of the season, the end of the regular season, so you're not having to bump the season out or eliminate bye weeks. You're not bumping it forward too far, and you're not eliminating bye weeks, so you can talk about player safety and how that matters. But then it also gives, imagine you get the 16th team in the SEC playing the 16th team in the Big 10. That, you have that matchup of, dude, somebody's got to suck. And so you have... everybody gets to play their game, their final regular season game, and it's an actual game that you have a chance to win.
That would actually matter. Okay, so here's the counter argument, and this is coming from the Vancouver Ford text line.
Yeah.
What about classes? No students at early games. Could that be an issue?
Yeah.
Although, like Oregon State, their quarter schools, people don't show up until end of September anyway.
They play most of their games before school starts.
Well, at the quarters. The semesters, school starts at the first week of August.
Yeah. I don't see the problem.
Maybe you change the quarter system.
Stop being soft.
I don't disagree. Well, plus, if you like your team, you're going to go anyways.
Yeah.
I don't think Texas A&M is going to have trouble selling out if they have to move up the season 2 weeks.
And I don't think the Goliath that is college football cares if students are going to be at those early games.
They don't care about students in general.
Because the big programs, their students will show up and they'll be there. Like it does mean and look, I love having students at games. It is always way better when you have that third weekend of September and you have at Oregon and Oregon State, all of the fans, all the student section is full into capacity. But I'll tell you, if you have a big game, that student section is going to be full in August. It will, even if it's a month before school starts. Like these are the things that we know. When Ohio State was going to come and play at Oregon, right? And then COVID happened.
Yeah, that thing.
The student section would have been full. Yeah. And I'll tell you this too. When your team sucks or it's a bad game, it's going to be empty.
Right. I don't disagree.
Them's the breaks.
I don't disagree.
I like that though. I like that text though because somebody's got. Won't somebody think of the children? Won't somebody think of the children?
Well, Mark Emmert didn't, and whoever the new guy is, he's not gonna.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just January 20th is too long for college football to be going.
Yeah.
I need it to be. It needs to be done around January 1st. I don't know how we figure that out. But
I think I just did. I told you how we do it.
I know, but can we get the NCAA to listen?
No. We need the czar of college football. I think Nick Saban would be really good at that. I think he would.
We let him be the Caesar?
Yeah, I would let him.
I'm down for that. I think he'd make great decisions.
I think he'd be more of like the Napoleon because he's a little guy.
Hey, I saw that movie. It worked out pretty well for France until it didn't.
Great point, Will. It did work out for France until it didn't.
It worked out great until it didn't.
Yeah, he's a little man. Can be kind of surly and mean. Yeah,
he's really good in battle.
He's very, very good in battle.
Very good in battle.
But not like him himself.
But
directing people in battle. He's really good at it.
He's really good at that. He was kicked out of the country. He was kicked out of college football.
He's kicked out of the NFL. He's kicked out of the NFL.
No, he was in this scenario. Okay. He was kicked out.
Okay,
he had to go to an island.
All right. Yep. And it was Miami.
And he came back. And he took back over. And he was in charge again. He just had a better second run than Napoleon did.
There we go.
Napoleon had the better first run.
Okay. Well, Nick Saban won a national championship in his first run.
Well, yeah, but Napoleon had a longer first run than a second run. He wasn't in charge as long in the second run.
Yeah.
And then he was taken out by outside forces that neighbor him.
Okay. Well,
Georgia.
Speaking of crazy people that love history, Jim Harbaugh has gotten extended a new contract by Michigan. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
That man loves some history.
The Napoleon, it's funny.
You're still going with it. It's good.
Yeah. It's a great bit.
It is a great bit.
Almost as good as putting a clause in your contract that you can't be fired for cheating.
This is great because Michigan, like we all talked about, like Harbaugh's basically gone. Apparently, the Chargers are like really getting in the hot and heavy of what a staff will look like. They brought his wife in to kind of talk with her, and Jim Harbaugh's wife. What are we thinking she's like? Has anybody talked to her? We've heard from Jack and Jacqueline. Has anybody?
Who's got it better than her?
No, like is she like that? Is she wired this way? You kind of have to be married to Jim Harbaugh. Like,
I think she just does her own thing. He like leaves her alone, and she leaves him alone, and I feel like she just kind of does what she wants to do, and that's not a bad life. No. But
do you think like the Spanoses brought her in and they're like, oh, we're going to meet with your wife and try to make this a family atmosphere. And she just sat them down and like gave them the third degree, was like, hey, what are we going to do to build a winner here? Because ain't nobody got it better than us.
She's like, just so you know. She's not having a Jim Irsay issue. Like Jim Irsay doesn't go to her house and have to sit in the bathroom for 2 hours.
Yeah.
She'd kick him out.
Get your butt out of here.
Get out.
Get your butt out of here.
We're not going to Indy. I'm not dealing with that nonsense.
But Michigan rolled over. They've upped the ante to Jim Harbaugh. Here's the details, according to 24/7 Sports, Brandon Marcello. Harbaugh would be the highest paid coach in college football. That's a duh. elevator clauses to ensure Harbaugh remains the highest paid coach in college football. Look, this is going to be something, because didn't Dabo have something like that in his deal too? Where if somebody gets paid more than him, like he keeps getting that boost. Like if you're Ohio State, you're like, watch this. We can pay Ryan Day like $30 million. Like we're going to pay Ryan Day with $30 million 1 year. Like boom. And Michigan has to do that. But elevator clauses to ensure Harbaugh remains the highest paid coach in college football. He did get his immunity clause. He got the immunity clause for from termination. He cannot get fired by Michigan for either one of the NCAA investigations that are currently open and active against Jim Harbaugh. So he's just like, he can run roughshod in Ann Arbor. And then he also has a 1-year payout guaranteed in the contract if he does get terminated for cause. Think about that. Michigan is putting it in paper that even if we terminate you for a cause, we will still pay you for 1 year. Jim Harbaugh could go all murdery on people. Jim Harbaugh could do like the worst of the worst things in this world. And he could be like on, like the flight logs, the Epstein Island flight logs, right? And
I don't think he's on those.
No, he's definitely not. He's definitely not. But even if he was, they'd be like, we still have to pay him 1 year. It's in the contract. Like he could be the worst of the worst.
He's out here murdering people.
He's definitely, yeah.
You find out that once a year he kills. He kills a nerd who says they don't like football.
Yeah, he saw Purge and was like, oh, I'm gonna do that to soccer. Right? It's like, no, Jim. But he has it in his contract that he gets a 1 year payout if he's terminated for a cause. Like Michigan is just like
STEM kid.
They're just like, all right, yeah, whatever, man. If it keeps you. And even though he got everything he wanted from Michigan, it still seems like he's going to the LA Chargers. And
yeah, because he knows
he wants the Super Bowl.
He wants it. It's his last Infinity Stone. He needs it. But it also shows Michigan knows that without Harbaugh, they go back to, I don't want to say obscurity, because Michigan will never be obscure. But Michigan is not the top flight job that they always seem to think that they are.
Michigan is not the job that Michigan thinks it is.
They're better than Nebraska. They're better, than I'd say the Miami job, right? They're better than these teams that were great in the 80s and the 90s and still have the supposed as like, we should be this. It's better than the A&M job. But even with Harbaugh, one of the best coaches of all time, because he works in the NFL and in college football, he still couldn't get top 10 recruiting classes. At Michigan, a place that everyone talks about. We're Michigan men. This is what we do. We are winners and we're always winners. No, you're not. This is your first title since like 97. You have to keep him. And that's why he keeps getting everything that he wants in those clauses.
I mean, he did recruit. Like, why are we talking like he didn't recruit?
He recruited at a good level. He didn't recruit at a top 10 level.
Michigan was 9th in 2022. They were 13th in 2021. 2020, he was these are the classes that built his roster. He was 10th. So like I don't that's something I never really understood either. Is that like, and then they were 8th in 2019, and then in 2018 they were they're way down here. 22nd in 2018.
Banner year.
But there was 1 year that they weren't in the top 10.
No, you had an 11 and a 12 in there. There was
1 year.
You had an 8 and a 9.
8, 9, and 10, and then
there was
a 13.
An 11 in there.
And then a 13.
Sorry, 13. There you go.
And a 13. But they're like, 13. Not a top 10 recruiter because 2 years?
Well, the averages.
I mean,
all I know.
And then in 2017,
I know what to tell you, Dusty.
2017, he was fifth.
All I know what to tell you, Dusty, is they're one of the 4 outliers.
2016, they were 8th.
Outlier. They're an outlier. When you look at top 10 recruiting national champions, is Michigan in that? Yes or no? No, they're not.
66% of the time, he is in the top 30.
And it doesn't work all the time.
Sex Panther. Sex Panther.
All I know what to tell you is when you look at the modern day college football era, there are 4 teams, that won titles without being top 10 recruiters. Who are they, Dusty?
Yeah.
It's Clemson twice, it's Cam Newton at Auburn, and it's J.J. McCarthy and Michigan.
Yeah.
So not a top 10 recruiter. And I stand by my statement. Don't come in here with alternate facts.
You mean the facts?
No, alternate. I have the facts.
Well, Jim Harbaugh, he's getting his immunity. He's getting his immunity. He's getting everything. He can go and keep doing his soccer purge if that's the thing that he does.
I think it's STEM, dude. I think he's going after men in STEM.
You're talking science, technology, engineering, and math?
Yeah, those are all
STEM?
things that he hates.
I think obviously he likes science because they use technology. He used STEM to steal signs.
No, he found a nerd who used STEM to steal signs. He did not.
I think I may be on board with you if Jim Harbaugh basically poses the question, so can you use any of that science in your brain to help me make football players better?
He goes, you vacuum boy.
And they're like, no, I can't. Dead. Okay. But if he asks that question and the guy's like, yeah, I can make better football players. He's like, okay, come on.
Right.
Let's talk.
Come here.
Have a glass of milk.
What do you eat for lunch? Oh, chicken? You're out. Dead.
Yeah, dead.
Murdered.
All right. Let's get to his brother. Got Brother Dale, got another Brother Dale, another Brother Dale. That's a reference you won't understand, but Jeff Rust would have.
I figured it's a Dale Earnhardt reference.
No, not even close. But John Harbaugh is coaching the AFC title game. Defense or offense next on The Fan?
It's the Vancouver Ford
Chiefs matchup. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. Vegas thinks so as well. I mean, it's a 7-point line with the Lions and the Niners right now.
Yep.
3.5 in the Ravens-Chiefs game with, you get that 3 points for just being at home. And it looks like weather's going to be cooperating in both places. It's supposed to be like 50 degrees in Baltimore, and in the Bay Area, sunny and 69. Nice.
Nice.
But with these two games, I look, the health of the 49ers, Deebo Samuel, that's going to play a big role. We know how important he is. Lions secondary, doo-doo, baby. But you have got two damn good football teams in the Chiefs and the Ravens. And for the first time since Patrick Mahomes has been the quarterback of the Chiefs, there's a balance of offense and defense between the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're actually better defensively. Over the course of the entire season, if you look at both of these teams, they fit a profile of like the Super Bowl contending teams and the Super Bowl winning teams. Both of them entered as top 7 defenses in yards per play for any defense over the last 5 years of the playoffs. We think of how good Baltimore's defense is. Kansas City's has been just as good. You take every team that's made the playoffs the last 5 years and you go average yards per play. 7th for the Kansas City Chiefs and 4th with the Baltimore Ravens. Truly elite defenses that are rolling into the AFC Championship game. But like in the playoffs, though, we kind of have this thing where you go, all right, we have that adage, defense wins championships. The profile has been fitting offenses lately. If you look at the top 15 offenses over the last 5 years in that time period, 3 of them have won Super Bowls. None of the defenses have. 0. Zip, 0, zilch, nada in yards per play. It's not like the bend but don't break. Mm-hmm. You better not be bending, because yards per player is what matters in the NFL right now. Moving the ball in chunks.
I wonder if this coincides also with the move that we see now in coach hirings. And I mean, shoot, even I've been beating the drum for the last month or so since, I guess last couple of weeks, since Seattle announced that they were going to move on for Pete Carroll. As a Seahawks fan, it's like, I would like an offensive mind in there. It seems like all the new hires, you're seeing more and more. It is offensive-minded coaches, guys who have some kind of association to Shanahan or to McVay. And so I wonder if, as we're seeing the dying out of the defensive coordinator who is the head coach, maybe that is why we are seeing the dying out of the defense win championships.
Well, you're going one of two ways, right? You have, with what we have, and you can look at Conference Championship Weekend as a great indicator of this, right? You have an offensive coordinator turned head coach in Kyle Shanahan, offensive coordinator turned head coach in Andy Reid, and then those guys are offensive gurus, play callers. Dan Campbell, John Harbaugh, those are position coaches, special teams coordinator, John Harbaugh.
Right.
That are...
One is offensive minded, though. Dan Campbell did coach offense,
but they are culture guys. Dan Campbell's not calling plays.
Well, no.
But they are culture. They're culture based,
right?
And they are
CEO type.
They are guys that will. Hey, it's the rah more collegiate style, and you're seeing that is kind of where the head coaching polls are now: offensive guru or culture guy. And I think Antonio Pierce is one of the culture guys. I don't think he's not the defensive play caller type, despite what his resume may say. He is more of a culture-based guy. I'd throw him in the culture category more than I would offensive or defensive mastermind type guy. But you're right, in that offense has kind of been driving everything. And what's crazy to me is I started diving into how good the offense has been. We've talked ad nauseum about the regression of Kansas City's offense from being the elite and premier offense in vertical threat that it has been in the past. But their drop-off has not been as dramatic as you would think, right? If you look at it, the Ravens were 4th in yards per play this season at 5.8 yards. The Kansas City Chiefs were 9th, 5.6 yards per play.
Well, shoot, the reason they beat the Bills were their big plays.
Big plays. But we talk about this drop-off, they're still top 10 offense in the NFL by most metrics, except for like the one that you would think Kansas City would have the biggest advantage, which is throwing the football, right? Believe it or not, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, this is highlighting like Lamar's MVP season. They throw the ball more effectively than the Kansas City Chiefs do this season.
But that doesn't shock me a ton in how this offense has changed, and this is what Lamar wanted, though.
Yep.
He recognized that he needed to change from someone who ran to set up his throwing ability to someone who wants to throw and can run. But the Ravens also recognized it, too, by going and getting him weapons that fit the move that he wanted to. Zay Flowers, I know OBJ's had some injury issues and they grabbed him later, but he's been fantastic. And then you've gotten, a little bit lucky in the progression of Isaiah Likely.
In the Lamar Jackson ranked 3rd in yards per passing attempt this year. Patrick Mahomes 18th. That's a crazy stat to think about. Like, what made Kansas City so good? And this is the efficiency of Mahomes in the divisional weekend was incredible. Like, there was not a turnover worthy throw that he had in that game. Like, he was dotting dudes up. Mm-hmm. But the offense has changed so drastically that they are no longer we are going to take you deep. We're going to take the top off the defense. We're going to stretch you 53 1/3 and, the entire length of the field. They have to be more methodical with the way that they operate right now. And Baltimore, especially when you add the added dimension of Lamar Jackson now taking off and running and playing more freely like he did in years past, it's playoff time. It's conference championship weekend. If you think 100 yards was something, wait till you see what he's going to do this week, right? It's going to be, hey, circle the defense, get to the outside, or I'm going to wait and keep my eyes downfield. And I thought he did a magnificent job of this against the Texans. Keep my eyes downfield. When I see a lane, I'm going to take it and run. But he is throw first. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. Mm-hmm. Damn dude is a baller this year. It is, if you look at the profiles of kind of what makes Super Bowl teams, almost at every single turn right now, it favors the Baltimore Ravens over the Kansas City Chiefs. It does. I mean, they're whether it be the defense,
metrics,
offense, the eye test will sure as heck tell you what they did to Houston was absolutely insane. But you also have this too. Kansas City played 2 very good teams, physical teams, in poor conditions where guys are getting banged up and they're beat up. Did I see Creed Humphrey was out of practice today on a Wednesday? Not a big deal.
That's
not
more
a huge deal.
That's a rest thing.
He's not a guy that usually misses practices, though.
Oh, I don't miss.
That's the thing about Creed Humphrey missing practice is it doesn't usually happen with him.
Something you need to pay attention to.
Yeah, but it's so early. It's still really early in the week. I thought it was pretty interesting, though, to kind of go through, and when you check all of these boxes, it's favoring. And you even look at it this year, right? Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football right now.
Mm-hmm.
He is. How far is that drop-off between he and Lamar Jackson with this season and taking this season into it? Take the body of work. Of course it's Patrick Mahomes. This season, the way he operated recently, too, dude, Lamar Jackson got them weapons, and they're getting Mark Andrews back to go with Isaiah Likely, like you said. They've got Zay Flowers. They're adding a little bit more, throwing those wrinkles in with Dalvin Cook a little bit. Watch out now.
Well, there's also something to be said, too, where it feels a little Brady Manning because they're similar age. They've gone up against each other in the playoffs before, and you know that Manning got to a couple. Obviously, he won a couple. It almost feels like maybe, Lamar, much more athletic, but a similar matchup of top 2 QBs in that conference at that time might be Lamar's time.
Hey-yo!
Let's get the better team.
There we go. We'll have more on this. Oh, if you're wondering how the numbers stack up around the Niners and Lions defense is going to be a big issue for them this weekend. Lions,
got to be able to stop the pass.
23rd in the NFL in scoring defense this season. The other 3 teams that are remaining, 1, 2, and 3 in the NFL. One of these things is not like the other.
But they have Eminem.
Baltimore, number 1. Kansas City, number 2. San Francisco, number 3. Detroit, 23.
To be fair, they had more injuries than the other teams. They had more injuries. They got a lot of guys back. And what Glenn is doing right now and finding ways, one, to add Branch into the blitz scheme, magnificent. Offensive linemen right now, and you saw it against the Rams and you saw it against Tampa Bay. They were not factoring him into their slides or their pass protection, and he was coming free. And the few times that they're like, oh, hey, here comes Branch. We can see it. He's coming. Guess who got a one-on-one block or came free as well?
Yeah,
Aiden Hutchinson.
If you're going to rely on your corner being a part of your run game, you're talking about Brian Branch?
He's a safety, is he not?
He's a corner. Yeah.
Nickel.
It's listed as a corner. He plays safety.
He plays safety.
Yeah, he plays down in the box.
He played safety in college, too.
Cam Sutton's a big issue for them.
Yes.
He's going to get exploited by Kyle Shanahan. Like, that is a worry. And if you want to get into a shootout with the San Francisco 49ers, I think they'll welcome it because their defense is so good they don't get into shootouts.
Right. Well, but the other thing, too, is where is San Fran weak? Runs off tackle.
Run outside, dude.
That's the best 2 tackles.
I'll tell you what. That is going to be that will be what keeps Detroit in it. And if you can tread water long enough to get into a fourth quarter and drag the 49ers into that deep water, you're going to need Jared Goff to play exactly like he did in the fourth quarter. But David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, they are going to get outside, and it's going to be an issue. Chase Young's got to be much better. It has to be better.
He's overrated.
He has got to be better.
He's got a little bit of looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane after his injury. And that's not me trying to attack him or anything like that. But a lot of teams are running the ball, and they're running it at him.
Also, I want to know how healthy Frank Ragnow is going to be.
Yeah. That's a big issue. But here's the thing.
You get rolled up twice. You can that Toradol shot's going to get you through that game. How's he feeling all week long?
Right, because that's a key factor. I mean, you saw it. He dominated Villa from his knees on the one play.
He sure did.
But losing him would be a big issue. But I think with Detroit, if they're smart, the way that they attack them, the same way that Green Bay did, attack them on the edges with your tackles. And here's the thing, you have better tackles. And Penei Sewell is probably the most athletic offensive lineman in the past 10 to 15 years. And maybe that's my recency bias. Maybe that's a little bit of me getting to watch him in college every single game because he was here at Oregon. But the things that they can do with him, where he can run out, look like he's about to kick out a defensive end, and then still cut to the outside, get to a linebacker, put that linebacker on the ground, and that D end is looking around like, hey, wait a minute, I thought I was getting kicked out. What just happened? Everyone just ran by me. There's maybe one other person at tackle that can do that.
If you don't know either, by the way, Frank Ragnow suffered both a sprained ankle and sprained knee in that game.
And we're going to find out after the fact that one of those is probably torn.
My gosh. What a dude. Dude's dude. All right, 503-864-6326. That's the Vancouver Ford text line. This is Danny and Dusty. Worst Day on the Web is coming up next. I don't know how bad this has got to be, but whoa, Nelly. First is Will with SportsCenter. Are they still making that magazine? Sexiest Man Alive. Have I won yet?
Yeah. Jason Kelsey lost. He got second place this year.
To me? Perfect. Still waiting for it.
I think Paul Rudd won.
Oh, again, huh?
No, it's McDreamy, the Grey's Anatomy guy.
There we go.
How did he never win before?
Oh, he's had to have won before.
You can have multiple times winning?
Yeah, I mean, being sexy doesn't stop, does it? Like Clooney's got to have won it a few times.
It might not have stopped for Clooney, but I think there are plenty of men that would say it does stop.
Nah, dude, you just get better with age. Come on.
Plenty of dudes who were sexy at 20 that are not so sexy at 40.
Yeah, that's not true. You
don't have to worry about that.
Just different way, Just different way. All right. This comes to us from People Magazine, where last week a flight from Phoenix to Austin had to turn around and return to the gates. Do you know why this flight? Take a guess as to why a flight would have to turn around. That is not a mechanical issue on said flight.
Someone pooped again?
No.
We pooping in planes again?
No.
Not a mechanical issue.
Not a mechanical issue. An American Airlines passenger reportedly passed gas and loudly bragged about it on a recent flight. It was so bad that they did the don't make me turn this car around. And they turned around and they went back to Phoenix and they dropped him off.
That is ridiculous. He farted so bad they had to go back to Phoenix and kick one guy out because he farted so bad.
All right.
Do you have deviled eggs?
According to People, I was seated near the row where this situation occurred. Okay. While the airplane was still at the gate, the documentation says they saw and heard an audibly disgruntled and maybe hungover man. He reportedly exclaimed, "You thought that was rude? Well, how about this smell?" And proceeded to pass gas loudly. Quote, "I don't know what provoked that comment, and while kind of funny to overhear, it was uncalled for, especially coming from a grown man on an airplane nonetheless."
This guy's my hero.
All right. All right. So the dude who goes and he just rips one on there on the plane. A few minutes later, decides to just chime in with, "Yeah, everybody, let's just eat the smelliest food possible at the same time." And then he farted again. A response to the man from the next row, he remarked, "If you don't like it, you can fly private," to which a gassy passenger called, "That's so effing rude." Another passenger chimed in, "I think we'd all agree you're the rude one here."
If you don't like it, you can fly private. Dude, this is the best SNL bit of all time.
I feel like this is from the Nutty Professor, where they're just farting at the dinner table. And this guy with every comment apparently is just ripping farts. The farting passenger responded to the "you're the rude one here" with, "That's just so low class." Wait, the guy who's farting is calling the other passengers low class for saying you're the rude one for ripping on this plane and people taking offense to it?
This is the greatest. This is the most dudes rock thing of all time.
Yeah.
He's passing gas and he's proud of it. The rest of you can suck on it.
So what happens when he says, "Dude, that's just so low class"? Do you know what somebody near him said? "Dude, you're flying economy just like the rest of us." These people are just haymakers back and forth.
They keep fighting each other. This is great.
Yeah.
This is like the ultimate elementary, early middle school fight of all time.
Yeah. So,
dude, quit farting.
As this is all happening, they're not even in the air yet. They're not even in the air. They were driving away from the gate. This is all happening before wheels are up. And it got to the point where they're now yelling at each other. Okay? And the flight attendants are like, "All right, we've got to turn this thing around." They go back to the...
So they never got in the air. Okay, this isn't as egregious.
They go back to the gate, and the flight attendant goes, "Hey, buddy, you got to get off this flight."
He's out here telling dudes to suck on his farts.
Yeah, he's just saying, and if you call me on it, I'm gonna call you low class.
How great is that? Like, I'm out here farting, but no, you're the low class one. This guy's awesome. I love this guy.
This guy's the worst, dude.
No, I want to hang out with this guy.
Oh man,
This guy's awesome.
yeah.
He might be my hero.
Oh,
He's just out here letting it rip and then attacking others. He is gaslighting others into thinking that they are low class.
with his gas. Look, quite literally, his fart. He's like, dude, these are farts of wealth. Okay.
This is what a rich guy's fart smells like, sir.
I love the. I love the. If you don't like the smell of my farts, you can fly private.
Eat on this, peasant. Oh, that's fantastic. Dude, I love this guy. He's my hero.
Yeah.
He's out here ripping farts and telling people to eat it.
And then getting kicked off the plane because of it. Oh man, I love it. I love it.
This
That
guy
would
must be a hit at parties.
farting on a plane though.
It's a bold move.
It's a bold move.
Bold move, Cotton.
It's a bold move, and I think we've all been there where like you get on a like you're getting ready, you're going to the airport, and you're like, oh boy,
You're a goon.
I'm going through it. But you got to be respectful of the other passengers, you know? Take that to the bathroom.
No. Sometimes it's
Take
funny
that to the
though.
bathroom.
Like sometimes if you know it's going to be silent, you can let it go.
Yeah.
And you can just look around and see what other people how they feel about your own brand.
Dude,
That can be fun sometimes.
it's
Like in an elevator.
the first my wife, first time I farted around her, like, well, not the first time.
You Dutch oven.
It was a dude. No. I had a buddy though, who that was his like. If that happened, if I go Dutch oven and she gets offended, we're not meant to be anyways.
Yeah. Well, dude.
So he was just out.
What
Not
if
me.
you get lost? How is she supposed to find you?
Well, no, we were at a grocery store and I was like, oh, dude, this. I was like, the bubble guts were coming. You know, I was like, oh boy. So we split to go and get different ingredients. And I feel like I'm in the clear, right? I'm
You're
like
I
2
can
aisles
let it
over.
go.
She came out of nowhere.
Snuck up
Out
on
of
you from behind.
nowhere. And she's like, what is that smell? I was like, oh boy. Yeah, that was me.
That was me.
That's
That was
me.
my brand.
It was very early. We're very early.
Early in the game.
No, we're like, yeah.
You got to blame that on someone else.
No, I just owned it. Because if you own it, then all of a sudden, like, you get in that situation. And my
She
buddy
needs to smell you out.
my buddy came to mind, and I was like, this could go one of two ways. Either, like, she's going to be very offended by what I just did in this grocery store, or,
She's one.
we'll press on. And here we are.
She's the one. Look at you guys, still kicking. Look,
Here we are, 14 years after the fact.
look at you, still
Trucking.
going. Hey, look, I'm not above as a substitute teacher.
Yeah.
If you are being a student, that is annoying me, and I know it's going to be silent.
You're going to crop dust them?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
and then I'll gaslight him and say it
Now,
was
boy,
another student. It's purpose pitch.
That is,
I'm letting him
I wonder
know.
how many times that happened to me in middle school.
Dude, if you are being a snot-nosed little brat, because look, I love my students, but sometimes they're jerks.
Yeah.
If I got one and I can let it go,
I'll tell you what, I'm going to start calling people low class.
that's right.
You know, if I rip one around my kids and like, Dad, we'll be like, hey, listen here, you low class little brat.
Listen here, you low-class little brat. You're going to like the chili I made.
Get your own house. Fly private.
The amount of times I heard that. Get your own house the last 6 months of my life.
Living with some people you grew up with.
Yeah. Well, hey, I don't live with them anymore. Got new roommates. Well,
All right.
roommate.
All right. Look at you moving up in the world. Is that the guy who was yelling in the background of your RoboCop review? Do they
Yes.
not understand that
Yes.
you've got RoboCop reviews that you have
Well,
to do?
he was playing Siege, and I think he was dying. I think he was getting killed.
All right. Hey, where do we stand
Good
on
old
this?
Toe.
Because I'm offended. Toe is your roommate.
That's his name. Yes. Toe. That is what I call him. Yes.
That's what you call him.
That it's not his real name.
Is it because he looks like a toe?
No, there's a whole thing. He had a toe injury when we played football in high school, and then he couldn't play. So Toe.
Oh, so you call him Toe because of a debilitating injury?
Well, no, he ripped his toenail off at football camp.
And so he couldn't play football anymore?
No, he couldn't play at football camp.
Oh, okay.
It was like a turf toe situation.
Call him soft if he's lost a toenail and just hung it up after that.
Toe is greatness, sir.
All right, I'm pro
Don't
toe.
come after toe.
I'm pro toe.
You should be pro toe.
But that's like if you got a friend who's missing a finger, Mr. Stubbs should be his nickname. You know?
I think there's a lot of people that are pro toe nowadays.
All right, you need to be stopped. And I will do it right now. We need to figure out which way we're going with this next on The Fan. what's going to happen Super Bowl week in Las Vegas? No, not that script. We already found that one out because Sean Smith is officiating the Chiefs-Ravens game. But no.
What about the logo?
The logo tells us it should be. The NFL sent out a memo to players about the Super Bowl. And this is going to be really interesting because we all know the absolute boondoggle that it is Super Bowl week, right? There's parties all over. We have guys like, was it Barrett Jones? Wasn't that guy's name? The Raiders offensive lineman. Right before the Super Bowl in San Diego went off the deep end and ended up in Tijuana, right? There's like a long history of not just players that are not playing in the game, but players in the game. Like you get a few days to tie one on in whatever city you're in and go to the parties and all that stuff. This Super Bowl in Las Vegas, while in Las Vegas, players participating in the Super Bowl are prohibited from engaging in any form of gambling, including casino games and betting on any sport. Now, betting on sports, I get,
makes sense.
Especially the Super Bowl.
Yep.
We know that. They can't bet on NFL games. You can't bet on anything NFL if you're playing the NFL.
Right. Makes sense.
But if you're having a Super Bowl in Las Vegas and these guys have a night to go and do whatever they want, which players are afforded Super Bowl week, they can't even go and like play a hand of blackjack or go even on like the penny slots over there and push the button.
You cannot. And
That's ridiculous.
Is this only the players playing?
Any players participating in the Super Bowl itself. Like if
you can't have a Super Bowl in Vegas and then do this.
No.
That's not fair. You cannot do that.
Especially
this is wrong.
If they're staying at a casino, staying at a hotel that is attached to a casino.
Right. You literally, to get to your car or to get to your team bus, you have to go through a casino. There's no avoiding it.
See, I'm wondering what the reasoning the NFL has for that, as to why they can't play table games even.
Yeah, that one doesn't make sense because gambling on sports makes sense.
Sure.
I mean,
I think away from the books.
I think if you play the NFL, you shouldn't gamble on the NFL, but I do think you should be allowed to do the NBA, NHL, MLB,
sure,
whatever.
Which they can. I mean,
right.
We know that. You just can't do it in the facilities.
Right. And so if, the NFL is saying, hey, we don't want to risk anything, we're just going to put the kibosh to that and say no.
Yeah.
That's fine. I don't understand why they can't play blackjack. I guess maybe the worry is that they'll start losing money and they'll have to go to like a loan shark or something.
No.
And then the loan shark will come in?
You know what? You guys cannot be trusted to be adults. So we will not treat you as such. I think it's a weird move.
Also, what are you going to do? If you find out, like the day before, Travis Kelce is out there playing blackjack with Taylor Swift, are you going to suspend Travis Kelce? Are you going to suspend one of these players from the Super Bowl if they gamble? Are you really going to do that?
All right. T-Swizzle is at the roulette table, right? Mm-hmm. Or she's shooting some craps. Travis Kelce's right there.
Ooh.
All right. Where do we stand on this?
How do you
significant others and you just being there?
Right. How do you prove? Is it guilt by association?
They're giving her like the hey, you should hit.
He's hit. Double down.
Split it. No, Travis Kelce suspended for the Super Bowl. There's gonna be some idiot.
You suspend him
who
next
crosses
game?
this line.
There's gonna be some idiot on each team. But here's the thing: what are you gonna do? Are you really gonna punish somebody?
Yes.
Are you gonna punish them for the Super Bowl? Right? Because let's say whoever's there, are you going to suspend? Let's say it's the left tackle for the Lions. Lions make it.
Okay, Taylor Decker.
You going to suspend Decker from that game? He's not a superstar, but if he's not playing in that game, that could be the difference between them winning and losing that game. Literally could be.
Yeah.
Are you going to suspend that guy? Or are you going to wait, drag your feet, and then you suspend him for the first game next year? Because that's stupid too.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out with the NFL.
You're going to fine them? They already lost money gambling. Probably.
Well, or they won.
Maybe they're hanging out with Dana White.
Yeah, I don't know.
That dude.
Now I wonder if this. Now, do you know this? from road trips. You go on road trips. What if you have a private game? What if you're not what if you're not on the casino floor?
That's true. You're playing spades.
What if you're up and you guys got, a game of poker going?
I guarantee that happens on every road trip. You know what I mean?
Every road trip.
So
every single one.
So
I've
as
seen
long
guys
as you
lose
don't get
scholarship
caught?
checks on a bus trip.
Yeah. I don't know that I ever saw scholarship checks.
Oh, I have. I've seen those tales. I know of guys who went up on a night to Seven Feathers Casino and came back the next day and in stretching lines is like, guess I got to take out a student loan.
Yeah.
Can't fix stupid.
Yeah.
Moral of the story: can't fix stupid.
We had some Visa gift cards lost. We also learned that student charging is not free.
Wait, say this again.
At Central, it was called student charging. And so you're supposed to use the student charge to go buy your books.
Yeah.
And then you pay later. Or you can work out a payment plan to pay for your college books later. We had multiple kids every year who would use that to buy Visa gift cards, to buy PS4s, PS5s.
Just thinking it's free money.
Yes. Beats headphones. All the time.
I am going to blame the school systems for that. We should be teaching how lines of credit work.
People didn't know. I still don't fully know. That's why I don't have a credit card.
That's a good call.
I'm not allowing myself that
You
issue.
shouldn't.
I get there's points involved. I don't know if I want to score.
Yeah. AI video surfaces a few days after the Ravens win with footage of Lamar playing cards in a private room. What's next?
That's true. I saw that picture of Andy Reid and Taylor Swift kissing. I didn't even know. I thought it could have been real.
Yeah. It would have been more believable if it was Jason Kelsey.
Well, I mean, Andy Reid had 6 fingers in the photo.
That's weird. All right. 503-864-6326. The worst kind of friend next on the Fan. Going to be back tomorrow, hopefully. We're going to get him back in. Get him back in tomorrow. He went to the doctor, got the more meds today.
Fingers crossed.
If you missed any of today's show so far, you can check it out, Service Patriots Podcast, at 1080thefan.com, the Odyssey app, or wherever you get your podcast from. Service Patriots, your home comfort solution for all your heating and air conditioning needs. Check out the latest special offers for our listeners at servicepatriots.com/thefan. What Doc Rivers may be going down as potentially the worst friend of all time. Doc Rivers hired as the Milwaukee Bucks head coach. Joe Prunty, good run, buddy. Good run. Reaching an agreement in principle to be the Bucks' next head coach. 3 straight conference semifinals is how they're bolstering the resume of Doc Rivers, despite the fact he won an NBA championship as the head coach of the Boston Celtics. Like, hey, went to 3 consecutive conference semifinals. That's the second round of the playoffs. They're like, look at what he did in Philly. But Doc Rivers is going to take over in Milwaukee. And look, I think actually Doc Rivers is not the worst hire in the world for this team. Think of how Doc Rivers was let down in Philadelphia and where it went wrong even in Boston, right? It was, they win a championship. They have an aging core where they were successful in Boston. And then all of a sudden, they trade everybody and their mother to Brooklyn, and they were able to get a young, good core that is, I don't know, top of the Eastern Conference right now. They hit a reset button. He goes to Philadelphia, where they surround Joel Embiid with guys like James Harden or Ben Simmons, guys who vanished come playoff time, right? And he saddles a lot of the blame for that. I think that with a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo, Damian Lillard, a veteran group of players, I think Doc Rivers is a good coach for this team and this roster right now, because we would all love to think like Joe Prunty is going to make a run to the NBA Finals. They're win now. They have to win now. And so you got to get that guy who has the pedigree, like the Doug Gottlieb line of it takes, in order to get a locker room, it takes rings. Mm-hmm. But you can't get rings unless you get a locker room in the NBA. You can't do it. Guys don't respect it. Doc brings that. He brings that experience, and he can be the manager of egos that Adrian Griffin wasn't. Okay? Could you manage a guy like James Harden's ego? No. Nobody has. Look at his career.
He did better than most, to be fair.
Right. It's wholehearted malcontents that Doc Rivers has a problem with. Okay? He's got a roster that is ready to win right now. If you can get the credibility back in the locker room of, hey, I've done this before, I've played in the NBA, I've been here, and Adrian Griffin did play in the NBA. But Doc Rivers is now the worst friend because the Bucks brought him on to be like a mentor and somebody that Adrian Griffin could lean on. And here we are 43 games into that tenure. Adrian Griffin's out and they're like, Doc, you want to coach? All right, let's go.
Immediately hired.
It was
right away.
That was a weird thing that happened last night because nobody knew what the hell was going on with Doc Rivers. Right when Adrian Griffin was out, everybody's like, well, they're going to target Doc. Right. He works for ESPN, and immediately ESPN talking heads are like, Doc Rivers is emerging as a target. But even I think Milwaukee and Doc Rivers wanted it to have a little bit more subtlety here when you're talking about taking over for the guy that you were supposed to be helping out. Because the first to report that Doc Rivers was being hired was CNN Sports. Now, there was confusion about, like, what the hell is CNN Sports?
It's Nichols, isn't it?
Huh?
Isn't it Rachel Nichols?
No, the first person to actually put it out there yesterday was actually a former NFL player. His name, oh gosh, now I'm spacing on his name. Coy, oh boy. Coy Wire is his name.
Wire?
Yeah.
Great name.
He went to Stanford, played for the Buffalo Bills for a while. He now works for CNN Sports, where at 6:45 our time, there was a short video posted with Coy Wire saying CNN Sports has confirmed Doc Rivers will take over in Milwaukee. And everybody just started kind of running with that, including TNT, where they had Lefko, Jamal Crawford and company doing the Tuesday night game doubleheader that they have on TNT. And they mentioned like CNN Sports, and Jamal Crawford even at one point like CNN Sports. Lefko's like, yeah.
Who?
Yeah, CNN Sports said it. But nobody else, no real newsbreakers in the NBA had said boo about it, but it was kind of like everybody knew Doc Rivers was going to be the guy. But it got out far too early for the liking of Milwaukee and apparently Doc Rivers as well. It was just a weird kind of, well, is he or isn't he? Because we heard nothing. It was radio silence. Like nobody's willing to confirm it. Well, that's because the agents and the power players of the NBA weren't giving, whether it was Shams or Woj, the clearance to go ahead and report it. So they went with CNN Sports, which is based in Atlanta, which is where TNT runs their studios are like in the same CNN building. They're right next to each other. They work for the same company. It's Turner.
It's all Turner. Yeah.
It was just a weird night where Doc Rivers, is he the right guy for this job? Long term, I don't know. But this year, he's the best guy available right now to stabilize this team.
That's what I was going to say too. Like I am not a Doc Rivers believer. To me, you got a little bit lucky with you got the big three. You had Garnett, you had Ray Allen, Rondo, obviously built up to what he could be, Paul Pierce, right? That's where you won your title. You won your title with that group. Mm-hmm. And then from then on, you've been good, but I do feel like a lot of the teams that he has coached have been largely disappointments.
Yep.
Those Celtics teams never got back to another title. He went over to LA and was the coach of the Clippers back when you had CP3 and Blake Griffin.
And now injuries derailed them at every turn.
They had injuries.
Gerald Henderson's rock hard buns broke the hand of Chris Paul and derailed their championship hopes against the Portland Trailblazers.
Right. Well, here's my whole thing with it, though. He's the best coach that you could get right now.
Yeah.
But you failed at the end of last season, at the beginning of this offseason, when you moved on from Budenholzer. Either when you moved on from Budenholzer, you should have went out and got Doc Rivers or got Nick Nurse or one of the other coaches that you thought could go and help you. You could have went and got Monty. You could have even went and had Terry Stotts, who you had in the building, who is a proven, very good NBA coach. But instead, you went with a guy that Giannis at the time had liked and had said, hey, this is the guy I want. This is who I want in the building. And then the minute that it wasn't going that way and things kind of soured with him in the locker room, Giannis goes, well, now you have to get rid of him and you have to go and get the next guy, right? And we don't know that Giannis said, well, Doc Rivers or nobody. We don't know that, right? No. We're not in the locker room. But you failed at the beginning of this offseason when you didn't go out and hire the correct coach. And now you have to fix it. And LeBron, he was able to fix it when he was in Cleveland, when they fired Blatt and went to Ty Lue and they were able to go on and win a title. Can Giannis and Dame do that in Milwaukee? I don't know. I feel like the issues that they have right now on defense can be mitigated, but they're not going to be completely fixed.
Look,
is that enough to win a title?
This is going to be the big issue too with Milwaukee. Like the elephant in the room with Doc Rivers is the guy who can't get over the top in crunch time situations. It's 9 straight games that he's had the chance to reach the conference finals and has been unable to do so. He has 10 Game 7 losses in his career. 10 Game 7 losses. They've blown 3-1 series leads.
That's not just James Harden's fault.
That isn't. And that is going to be the biggest task that the Milwaukee Bucks have to get over. And look, Giannis, Dame, that roster, it could be enough to kind of push them over the top. But the reality of it is that nobody's really shaking their boots anymore in the East. Boston is still the best team in the Eastern Conference. I just can't wait for the Milwaukee 76ers matchup in the playoffs. We know that's coming. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. We have to see it. And right now, those two teams are sitting second and third. So what that would be potentially conference semifinals. So we could see that. We could see that in the conference semis there, right there. If they end the season 2-3, conference semifinals matchup between the 76ers and the Bucks, where Doc Rivers couldn't get out of the conference semifinals 3 years in a row. 503-864-6326. That is a Vancouver Ford text line. Doc Rivers, man. Just stealing that job.
Maybe he's the doctor they need.
His name is Glenn.
Not what you just said. You just said Doc.
His name's Glenn.
Everyone calls him Doc. Is Toe my buddy's name? No, but everyone calls him Toe.
That's a badass nickname, though. Like,
Doc?
if you're Doc, yeah, dude.
That's such a cool nickname.
That's a cool nickname.
Is that the number one nickname you can get as a dude?
Ooh.
It's up there.
That's pretty, that's pretty awesome.
Maybe like the Truth.
No, like nobody's calling their friend Truth, though. You know? Like, Doc is like, you're the authority figure, no matter where you are.
That's true.
You just become the authority figure. Maybe that's why they did it. Adrian Griffin, not the authority figure. Doc Rivers.
Or too much of an authority figure.
100% is. All right. Hey, we got some movement around the National Football League, and one move a fan base has been clamoring for. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think he's going to be a great fit there. Next on The Fan. Like nicknames, we used to have great nicknames like Oil Can, stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard Henry loves that nickname.
Like Haas. What?
Dude, Haas.
Haas is a great one.
Haas can be mean though.
No, if you're a Haas, you're a dude. You're a big
but
dude.
you
You're
have to
an awesome
accept
dude.
it. That person has to kind of want to be called Haas.
I like Chief. Like
Chief.
what's up, Chief? You know, like if you are Chief.
But that's got to be like your true nickname, because there are people that sometimes, like
but that like
I'll do a what's up, bud, or
Robert
Champ.
Parrish. Robert Parrish was the Chief.
That's
Robert
a good.
Parrish.
Then that is a good
He was
nickname.
the Chief. Like Champ Bailey. Champ.
That's not his name.
Champ Bailey. No, I don't think that's Champ Bailey's
I
birth.
thought that was his name.
But I'm big on Roland is his real name.
Oh.
His-
Well, yeah,
his
no,
name
you,
is-
you can't be Roland Bailey. You got to be Champ.
You're Champ Bailey, right?
No, that's a great nickname. Champ is a great nickname.
Champ is if anybody who's like nicknamed the Jet, like Benny the Jet Rodriguez,
Kenny
Kenny the Jet Smith, like the Jet, you're just
Jet.
fast. Everybody knows you're fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a cool name.
See, my nicknames were always lame. It was like, well, you're a big dude, so let's just throw big in front of whatever we want to call you.
Oh, you're big.
Big Will.
Big Will Betts.
Big Ort.
Yeah.
Big Daddy Will. All these things are all the same.
Ew. Milk Daddy.
Milk Daddy. That's right. Milk Daddy's in there.
But if you are
Milk Daddy Ortner.
I like I think Quaalude is a good one.
I don't understand that one. Like, who's calling their buddy Quaalude?
Just a little slow. Oh, we got B-Rod is like B-Rod's great. Like, yeah,
B-Rod's a good one.
B-Rod is a great nickname.
B-Rod's good.
Yeah.
Sarge.
Oh yeah. I mean, Nate McMillan is Sarge, but like if you're like if everybody just calls you Sarge,
Tank.
that's awesome.
Tank is awesome.
Yeah. But like if
But you
you're
gotta be a big dude.
like if you were Haas Ortner, that's a cool name.
Yeah.
Like if everybody's just like, no, Will, we're not calling you Will.
See,
We're
but
calling
no.
you Haas Ortner. That's
Haas,
cool.
But Haas wouldn't have worked for me until college because I would not have accepted it.
Yeah.
When you're like in high school or middle school, having the nickname Haas, not as fun. Not as fun.
Yep.
Trying to go up to a girl like, hey, do you want to go to the middle school dance with me? And having her be like, no thanks, Haas.
Yeah.
That's kind of mean.
No, that's fine.
No,
then
that
you know
hurts.
what? If you're named
That cuts deep into the soul.
See, you're not built to be named Haas then. Because a
No.
guy named Haas
Didn't
is like
being big.
on to the next one then. I'm out. I'm on to the next one. Like this text says Mac is a great one. I knew an old guy named Mac. My great grandfather, his name Mac McCorkle.
That's a pretty good one.
That's yes.
Mac's pretty good.
You get anybody that has a Mac name,
Mick?
you're Mac. You become Mac, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you have to. Have to.
That's great.
But here's what's funny is all the nicknames that we're coming up with, other than Sarge and Chief, I think, I know people now who are getting, that's their first name. People are calling them
So
their
like
kids or naming their kids.
Chief.
I said, except for Sarge and Chief.
Oh,
If I met a Chief Ortner, that would be pretty dope.
that'd be badass.
Or like a Blaze.
Yeah. There's a kid in my daughter's class named Blaze. I have no opinion on him.
I kind of
I've
think
never met
Blaze
him.
is cool. But you have to worry about that kid around fire.
You do.
You have to
You
be
do.
you have to be a little fearful. Like if Blaze comes up to you and is like, I'd like to light off the fireworks, Mr. Hera.
Yeah.
Settle down, Blaze.
Like Red is a great one that
Red's
on the
a good
text line, like Red Foreman.
Red, dude, love me some Red Foreman.
But like, you either have to have red hair or be a red ass. Like,
Yeah, there's no in between. Yeah.
No. And Red Foreman had both. He was a red-haired red ass, and so Red Foreman fit.
He was the ultimate red.
Yeah.
No one was more red than Red Foreman.
No. It's good, man. Like Rufio says, be careful. Champ, chief, bud, etc. Those are fighting words in some contexts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Like
ever get
bud
into a
is
butt
one
off?
that's like, hey, bud. Oh, you talking about bud? And
That's
if
your
you walk
buddy,
in,
pal.
and if you're in a bar and you're like, hey there, chief. What's your deal, chief? Like, yeah, you're probably getting into a fight.
Gotta be a little careful.
Any of these nicknames, though, you're getting into a fight.
Slim.
You know, hey, there's Slim. Yeah, what? Shut up.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah. People asking what our nicknames are. I mean, when your name is Dusty, you don't have one.
I thought for a long time that it was a nickname.
No.
That's a pretty cool first name, though.
Yeah.
I've had people ask me, like, why does everyone call you by your nickname? I've had that happen before. People have never listened to the show, but like will listen because they knew I was on it or something.
Yeah. Oh, and they ask about me. I thought
Well,
they were
they'll be
asking
like,
about you.
why did no.
Yeah.
Why
It's like a radio name?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like, why does everyone on that show have like a nickname?
We don't. Dirt is the closest thing we have to anybody having a radio name here, and our illustrious boss Jeff Sacramento, Jeff Austin
Baton Rouge.
Jeff Baton Rouge. You know, the days of the radio name or the TV guy name.
Yeah, they're kind of gone.
Those are gone. We need to bring that back.
There is nothing better though than explaining to people that I work with a guy named Dirt. It's very fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of confusion, like when people turn on like Ducks pregame and they got like
Dirt. They get Andy.
They get Dirt and Dusty. It's like, what the hell? And then Anthony Newman. You know, it's like
whose nickname is Q? A great nickname.
Awesome nickname.
Great nickname.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a sneaky good nickname.
Yeah.
Q.
Yep. All right.
We need more nicknames. We don't give people nicknames enough anymore.
A kid I grew up with, his name was Boss. He named his son Champ. Boy, that's some boldness there. You bet, like if you name your kid something like that though, you got to be assured that they're not going to be shoved in a locker.
Yeah,
and that's a tough one.
You got to be 6'5", and your wife's got to be 6 feet tall.
Yeah, I mean,
same thing with Tank.
Like my dad, he put the pressure on me early because the way I got my name was he was like I was going to be named Brian, and that didn't happen. No, it wasn't a Brian.
No, it did not.
But they called a hot rock because I have a cousin named Brian, and they did that. My dad did the.
They got the Brian before you.
What does it sound? Does it sound good over like a speaker? So he did like touchdown, Dusty Hair, and he was like, "Yeah, that's good. We're gonna go with Dusty then." And that's how I went from being a Brian to being a Dusty.
I love that. That's how he determined your name. Like, what is going to be the coolest way to hear my son score a touchdown?
Yeah, yeah, that was it.
Like, what can I be most excited to go? That's my boy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it happened, though. That's the way it happened.
Dusty Hera.
I mean, could there have been better ones? I don't know.
My parents didn't do that because they knew they weren't going to hear my name over mini loudspeakers.
They knew they had a lineman.
No, I don't think that. I think they thought they had a kid in STEM with their size. I think we're still trying to figure out how the lineman came about. Brick's a great name.
Wow. But like, think of it like a baby named Brick, though. That came in on the Vancouver Ford text line. Like, I wonder if like Anchorman kind of ruined that, like Brick Tamblyn.
Brick Ortner.
That's how you're going to name your kid, Will.
Yeah, no, dude, this fits. That's just meat-headed enough to fit into my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, hey, my brother's named after Luke Robitaille, so I get it.
Oh, hockey family, huh?
Oh, yeah, dude.
So, look, and this has not stopped with my dad. He sent me a text yesterday. My favorite name in the upcoming NFL draft is Chop Robinson, edge rusher, Penn State.
Chop is a great name because he does the chop move.
Yeah. Yeah. He said it'd be a better name for an O-lineman, though. Just cut him down.
Chop block.
Cut him down. My favorite still is Rowdy Beers, though, for Florida International.
Rowdy Beers.
Great name.
General Booty's a good one.
General
Booty. The General.
Like he can't play anything but quarterback. He's got to be a quarterback.
Or a middle linebacker.
Yeah. Yeah.
General.
Yeah.
The Boz.
Yeah.
No one can be the Boz because he's Bosworth, but
cheap
Boz,
insurance too.
Great nickname.
All right. Sneaky move out of the NFL. It's good. Next on the Fan.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports.
disaster with Sean Desai and then later Matt Patricia as their defensive coordinators, it appears that the Philadelphia Eagles have landed on a DC. Quick turnaround because they just announced the dismissals. And now it appears that Vic Fangio is going to be the next defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. Fangio and the Miami Dolphins agreed to mutually part ways today. And almost immediately, Adam Schefter with the bomb that it does appear that he's the top target for the Philadelphia Eagles, and they have an interest in working together. Desai used to work for Vic Fangio. It didn't work out stylistically. It's what they want. Personnel-wise, it's what they got. And Vic Fangio's a great defensive coordinator.
He was in Philly last year too, right? As an analyst, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
He's had, or if it wasn't last year, it was the year before that. He's had some time over there in Philly. This is a home run hire.
I think it's great.
Nick Sirianni, the way that he's coaching in the style of Harbaugh and in the style of Dan Campbell, where he is more the CEO. He is the leader of men role, right? Where he goes in and he does the rah-rah, but he doesn't call any of the plays. When you do that, you have to have good offensive and defensive coordinators.
Yeah.
When they had their success, when they went to the Super Bowl, that's what they had. And this last year, they didn't have that.
He's getting a guy that is established, is a little bit longer in the tooth, 65 years old, Fangio is. And now it's not going to be a guy who's going to jump at the next head coaching opportunity. You got a coordinator where you can have some stability there. And it better work out for you, because if it doesn't, Nick Sirianni's done. Gone.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
I mean, he's got to have the hottest seat of anyone that's still left just because it's Philly. There are other coaches that should be moved on from before Nick Sirianni, so their seats therefore should be hotter. But they don't coach in Philly.
So this is going to be, big hire for Sirianni. Now they got to replace their offensive coordinator as well, because Brian Johnson is out after 1 year as well. They move on from their DC, and it appears they already have it in Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio's Vic Fangio's name was also instantly attached to another DC job that opened up, and Packer fans are over the moon right now because Joe Barry is gone as their defensive coordinator.
I feel like the evil witch has been vanquished.
And Fangio's name popped up there, but then Schefter is like, I think it's more Philly than anything else. Either way, if Philly or Green Bay, they get Vic Fangio as their DC, you've upgraded. You've upgraded in both instances. Mm-hmm. But I think Philly is the best fit for Fangio, because they're going to have some big replacements in the near future on that defense, with Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham getting long in the tooth. And
that secondary, Bradbury took a massive step back. And Darius Slay.
Bradbury wasn't very good last year either, but it was just a bogus call in the Super Bowl that everybody rallied around him.
Darius Slay's now old and injured too.
Yeah.
You're probably going to have to replace both of your corners.
Well, they'll just keep on drafting Georgia guys then.
Yeah, going to have to keep going.
Right. There we go. This coaching carousel, though, it's getting pretty wild, because it appears that Jim Harbaugh has delayed a second interview with the Atlanta Falcons because they are progressing with Jim Harbaugh in LA. You have Mike Vrabel is meeting today with the Atlanta Falcons. Then he will go up and meet with the Carolina Panthers. Kind of looks like Bill Belichick and the Falcons have fallen apart because of the fact that the president of the Falcons, not a big Bill Belichick fan. Probably because they're all looking over their shoulder like, is he just going to demand all of our jobs be gone because he ran the show in New England?
Right.
Which I don't think that'd be a great move.
The other weird thing about it is that seems to be the only place that has any interest in Bill.
Yeah.
Like, everyone came out and like, Bill will have a job next year. And they were saying Pete probably will never get hired again. It seems like it's Atlanta or bust for Bill.
It sure is. It sure kind of feels that way. Or if Buffalo gets rid of Sean McDermott, bring in the hoodie.
On, another fan of Toes, Rex Ryan route there. He's the one who was throwing that one out. I don't see them moving on from McDermott.
They sure rallied after the 9/11 stuff came out. They played really well. But, your window is now. Your window is now. And
right.
My whole thing is there somebody that's better that's out there? Would you put Bill Belichick or Mike Vrabel in that conversation? Because if you
Vrabel,
think so, you better act right now.
Well, here's the thing. Vrabel maybe because of the culture aspect, and he can help fix the issues. Well, and some of the issues that you have this year on defense are because of the amount of injuries that you've had.
Yeah.
Right? Does bringing in Bill Belichick or Mike Vrabel make you instantly more healthy, or do bringing those two guys in make you younger? Because that's the other thing that's an issue out in Buffalo. You're getting old as well.
Yep.
I feel like when you look at these games, their losses have come to Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow.
I think you want to go
1-2 at QB.
If you want to go anywhere else, a head coach in Buffalo, I think Vrabel's got to be your guy. Younger, because you want to tie him to Josh Allen.
That's the only one that I would move on from. If I'm going to move on from McDermott, it's for Vrabel because I think he's better in the long run.
Yep.
I don't know that I go to Bill. I don't think that Bill puts Buffalo into, now they're the Super Bowl favorite. I really don't.
All right, we've got wrapping up the show today. We didn't get to the Baseball Hall of Fame thing. You see that there's a confusing conundrum that the baseball writers have put themselves into.
Because they're stupid.
Yes. Put everybody in the damn Hall of Fame. Can we just do that already?
Yeah, make it the NBA. Everyone gets in. If you made it for 10 years, you're in.
Well, no. Put Roger Clemens, Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, put all of these guys in. Pete Rose, put them all in. Put him in the Hall of Fame.
Why would you want to put the second best hitter of all time in?
The best hitter of all time. Don't do that.
No, he's not.
Don't do that.
He does not have the most hits.
Don't do that.
In professional baseball. He's the second best hitter of all time.
Don't do that. Ichiro is great.
Ichiro is better.
Hit king.
Yeah, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Pete Rose.
Unlike Pete Rose, who's not ever going to get in.
Fantastic. But Adrian Beltre had the cloud of PEDs surrounding him. Never suspended for him.
Never got caught.
But the Eric Gagne, remember Eric Gagne?
Yeah, I do remember Eric Gagne.
Eric Gagne said, dude, like everybody on our Dodgers team was doing him. He said, I think he was 80% of the roster. And Adrian Beltre is like, well, hey, name names then, Gagne.
Yeah. Call me out.
But if you're going to have guys like Beltre, hell, one of my favorite players, Jeff Bagwell, the cloud of suspicion around David Ortiz, he got suspended.
Positive.
He got suspended.
He tested positive. But
here's put them all in. They deserve to be there.
But here's what the baseball writers do. They put in their buddies, and if you weren't their buddy, then they sit behind the steroids. That's what they do. You're either their friend and you get into the country club and you get to do all the cool things, or you're not their friend.
That's dumb.
And you don't get to hang out with them.
Stop your pro clutching. These guys were dominant in an era where
on Wednesdays
people were doing PEDs. They did.
The most fun era of baseball.
They did. All right. We'll put a bow on this show. Blazers back at it tonight. Next on The Fan. Primetime with Isaac and Suk. And hey, you can party with Primetime on Tuesday, February 27th, if you sign up for the afternoon round at X Golf Tualatin, because we've got the inaugural Fan Winter Golf Classic out at X Golf Tualatin and X Golf Vancouver. Sign up for your threesome now. You can choose from 2 tee times. Noon, where Danny and I will be partying at X Golf Vancouver, or 4, where you can party with Isaac and Suk at X Golf Tualatin. The winning threesome will win a free foursome at this summer's 10th annual Fan Golf Classic. The last place threesome will receive a free lesson from X Golf, because you need it, damn it. Go to 1080thefan.com for now to sign up your team. Get your threesomes in now. That's a drop. At 1080thefan.com. You can party with us. You can party with Isaac and Suk. 2 locations, 1 great day. Tuesday, February 27th.
I just took thing down.
You just what?
I took the thing down, so I can't grab that drop.
Good. I'll
tell Rust where to find it.
No, don't. It's fine. It's fine. Blazers back at it tonight. They take on the Houston Rockets, and apparently Woj tweeted out the protest is coming. Like it's Blazers will protest last night's outcome.
I thought they already filed.
No, it was the report earlier. It costs $10,000 to file this report, which seems like a lot of money. Why in the yeah, for you. It seems like a lot of money to file a protest, be like, hey, NBA, your refs were terrible. You need to fix it. And they're like, that'll be $10,000.
Where does that $10,000 go? Does Adam Stern get an extra $10,000?
Adam who? Stern?
My David Stern, Adam Silver.
Adam Silver? Yeah.
They've morphed together into a super commissioner.
Or that $10,000 goes to whoever raises their hand in the NBA league offices and is like, yeah, I'll deny this.
I'll say it doesn't count.
Because the last time that one of these was upheld was in 2007.
For Shaq.
For Shaquille O'Neal, where they couldn't explain themselves away because they're like, Shaq committed a foul, and they're like, yep, that's number 6 on you. And Miami's like, no, it's not. It's number 5. And so they ended up replaying the final 51 seconds of a game against the Atlanta Hawks in 2008 because it took so long. They do it on your next scheduled meeting.
The team. Yeah.
Okay. And they say, all right, we'll just replay. And so the Blazers would replay like the last...
Do it again.
15.1 seconds the next time they play the Oklahoma City Thunder. But we could find ourselves in a very similar situation here because when the Miami Heat replayed with the Atlanta Hawks, they had already traded Shaquille O'Neal to the Phoenix Suns. So Shaq wasn't even on the team, and nobody scored in the final 51 seconds of that game. The next time that the Oklahoma City Thunder played the Portland Trailblazers, March 6th, a month after the trade deadline, where the guy who was called for the double dribble, Malcolm Brogdon, he probably won't be a Portland Trailblazer.
Probably won't even be in the building. Unless they love that.
Unless they trade him to OKC, which I don't see that happening. But
now I want it.
Wouldn't that be a twist? If you trade him to OKC, they get a stop, and Brogdon ends up hitting a 3 to win it.
Now I want the protest to work so that this can happen. I want Malcolm Brogdon to rip the Blazers' hearts out again. That'd be funny.
You'd have to trade him to OKC though. Like, do you have like do you have the gentleman's agreement with OKC? Like, hey, don't play Brogdon. Throw him on the floor.
I would start him immediately if I was OKC. Like, no, we are trolling. That is what we do here in this house.
But the Blazers, they play the Rockets tonight.
Good luck. Or lose again, actually. I kind of don't care if they lose. I want them to look
the worst
good.
outcome.
I want the young players to look well. I want the trade assets to look well.
Yep.
And play well and lose by 1.
So last night, not a bad thing then in Will Ortner's mind.
Yeah.
I mean,